Ladies and gentlemen, in today's video, I am going to be reacting to your NFL off-season takes. I put a tweet out last night. So far, it has 753 responses. And I want to let you know right now that if you do not make it into this video, check my TikTok sometime over the weekend because I'm going to do a part 2 and they will all be different on there. You guys really lit this one up. Couple of plugs as always. Don't forget to use code WyattzWorld on G Fuel or Prize Picks where you can save yourself a discount on any G Fuel products or match up to $100 of your first deposit. But that's all I've got. Let's get into the video. Alright guys, so the first take I am reacting to is from Michael. He says the Texans will miss the playoffs and the Colts will win the AFC South. Look, I'm not gonna scream and shout, I'm not gonna call you names, but I do disagree with you on this one. Well, I disagree with half of it, I should say. I believe the Texans are gonna go to the playoffs again. They're just too good, too talented, too hot not to. But the Colts, realistically, yeah, they could be absolutely outstanding. That one I will stand with you on. I won't say they will win, though. I would say they could win. This one's from Ninja Rabbids. He says the Packers will finish 10-7 and make the playoffs as the 5th seed. Okay, yeah. This one's from Hoff. He says, honestly, the Bills should trade up for a wide receiver. What do you mean? O'Dunes is going to fall to 28. This one's from Inhi. He says Saquon makes a CMC-like return and rushes for 1,400 plus yards. I mean, I could definitely see him doing that behind the Eagles O-line, considering he almost did it behind the Giants O-line 2 years ago. But I don't think he's making really a return from anything. Saquon wasn't that bad this year. That entire team was just a mess. Burr says Titans are the second best team in the South. No. Rip DMX says Gardner Minshew leads the Raiders to a playoff berth. Well, first off, Rip DMX indeed. And second off, wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be a ride? Wouldn't that be a thrill? That would be the fastest way to turn majority of the world into Raider fans within an instant. A Gardner Minshew playoff run. Do I think it'll happen? No, but I'm all for it. This one's from Porter Island. He says even with Rodgers' comeback, the Jets will not meet expectations. I hope you're right. I sincerely do. Devontae says Darnell Mooney will have a bounce back year in Atlanta. I'm a Bears fan. I don't think he's going to have the targets to have a bounce back. Kirk's going to be throwing the ball to Pitts or London or Bijan, or maybe they'll draft someone. I don't know. But it ain't going to be Mooney. Mooney will be a Brian Edwards in Atlanta. Cameron Acton says Chiefs three-peat while everyone starts to get more annoyed from Taylor Swift. I don't think it's possible to get more annoyed, man. The world's pretty fed up with her. But the Chiefs having a three-peat, I mean, to deny that possibility being probable, you would be pretty naive. This one's from Black Zebra. He says, as a Giants fan, I have one for each NFC East team. Oh boy. Sad to say that the Giants go 1-16 and have the #1 pick next year. Dang. Then he says the Eagles regress more and miss the playoffs. I hope you're right. I don't know if they'll regress that much though. The Cowboys go 15-2 and get the 1 seed. I do not believe that's gonna happen. And the Commanders go 11-6. No, I don't agree with any of these. I don't think the Giants are gonna go 1-16. The Commanders 11-6, and then yeah, the other two. No, I think those are all real drastic. Punk Heaven said the Texans trade up for Marvin Harrison Jr. They would have to give up so much, man. I do not think that's gonna happen. They already gave up their first round pick to Minnesota. Like, what would they are gonna have to, like, the next 2-3 years to get up to number, what, 4 or 3 to get him? Sure, that's a horrible draft take by me, but isn't he supposed to be, like, right away? Brian Kuchta says Deshaun Watson wins MVP. Thanks for the thumbnail, Brian. You gotta hear me out, brother. There is no way he is ever gonna win the MVP. Like, that is never, ever gonna happen. It doesn't matter how good he plays, man. He can throw 50 touchdowns in a season and 6,000 passing yards. He will not get the MVP. It's like people saying that Calvin Ridley was gonna win Comeback Player of the Year after getting suspended from gambling. No matter what he was gonna do this year, he was never gonna get that award. This is never, ever happening. Jackson says Russ throws for 4,000 yards and the Steelers win the AFC North. I like Russ, right? You guys know that. I like him. He's a good man. He's a good quarterback. I will not drink Kool-Aid involving him or the Broncos again. Trevor here says Kirk Cousins and this Falcons offseason is the Derek Carr in the Saints 2.0. Paying an inconsistent quarterback with no playoff success. He has won a game and he's played very well in the playoffs, might I add. Coming towards the end of his career and a ton of money. I think that's a dog shit take, if I'm gonna be honest. Like, a really, really dog shit take. Calling Kirk Cousins inconsistent is just a completely insane thing to say. Almost makes me believe you're trolling. Medi says despite all the Bears fans hyping up their team, they will still get swept by Green Bay. Probably. Although you guys hyping up up Josh Jacobs is not much better. Anthony says the Commanders will be a dark horse playoff team. Where is this all coming from for the Commanders? Am I missing something here? What? They don't even have a quarterback as of this very moment. And you guys do understand that drafted quarterbacks, like, as bad as this sounds, it's true. Majority of the time end up not being very good. Like, think about it. How often do busts actually occur? A lot. Packer Nation 30 says, despite what happened to the Jags, I believe that they will make the playoffs and hot take, make the divisional. Look, they're a team that's this close. Like, they're not far off, and a lot of it really depends on Trevor's play at this point, because we know Trevor can be outstanding, but this year was a little bit concerning. However, them going back to being a playoff team, like, I definitely do not see that being impossible. And then making the divisional, I don't see that being impossible either. I think that's a solid take. Bo says, Hollywood Brown has been underutilized in every system he's been in. Well, I can't argue with you there. In the Chiefs system, as long as he's healthy, he's going to go for 1,200 plus yards, 7+ touchdowns, and he's going to be seen as one of the best receivers in the league. Okay, the stats, I could see that possibly happening. Obviously, in that offense, anything can really happen. Him being seen as one of the best receivers in the league, I think it'll be kind of a Brock Purdy argument for him. Everyone's just going to be like, well, it's Mahomes that makes him. Everyone's just going to say, look at him before he went and played with Mahomes. You know what I mean? I think it's actually going to get him more hate than it does good. Even though I do agree, Hollywood Brown is definitely been not used to his fullest potential. Terry Who says Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman both break 1,000 yards receiving. Man, I've been waiting on Rashad to do this. I have so many of his rookie cards, man. I stocked up on him. I loved him. He was a UFM guy. UFM? University of fucking Moms or what? U of M guy. And he hasn't done anything that great. I would love to see it, but he's got to stay healthy too. Nate says Atlanta got better, but still hasn't moved the needle in the division. I disagree. I think it was quite clear that they needed to get a different coach, which they got, and they needed someone who can pass the ball, and they got that too. They have every tool they need to be a fantastic team now. I'm sipping the Kool-Aid, my boy. Oh yeah, take a sip. It's good for you. Listen to me. Drink it right now, you son of a bitch. Kool-Aid, look, if you ever need a new voice, I'm just saying I would love to do it. Connor says, I hate to say this as a Broncos fan, but Denver will likely be a bottom 3 team in the NFL next season. We'll draft our quarterback next month. Personally, I really want Bo Nix, but our fans know we're in a rebuild and we expect the team to suck regardless of how our draft goes. Well, Connor, that might be one of the most mature takes I've ever seen. This man's an honest Bronco fan. He's always just giving me facts. Connor Russo says, hottest take in the world, AFC East standing. Jets 13-4, gross. Bills 10-7, 7th seed. I mean, if they make the playoffs, I guess. Patriots 7-10 and the Dolphins 5-12? I definitely don't think that's gonna happen. But if it did, that would be cool, and then maybe the Dolphin fans would man up and admit that their coach is a giant fraud. Allium here says, Jameis Winston has a career resurgence and leads the Browns to a 13-4 record. I'm all for it, man. I love Jameis. Mr. 30 for 30, come in and relieve Deshaun Watson of his duties. Do it. Give us all the movie that we've wanted to see for years. Micah Parsons parody, the Commanders finished with a better record than the Eagles. I think this one's just a troll. The Oklahoma City Thunder says Christian Watson turns it around after a disappointing start to his career. I am both a Packers fan and a Watson hater. I don't know, man. I haven't even heard Green Bay fans talk about him like one time in the past 6 months. I have a feeling he's just gonna kind of play the rest of this season out, have a similar year that he did last year, and then end up getting cut and going somewhere else. Eric Bjorkman says Caleb Williams becomes the first 4,000-yard passer of all time. I reacted to this last night on Twitter, man. I said that same thing about Justin Fields, sadly. I don't know if I can drink the Kool-Aid for a Bears quarterback again. At this point, I don't even think it's on them. I just think it's on the team, the organization. Jay Whiteside says Minnesota has a chance to contend in the NFC if they draft a right quarterback in the draft. That is true, but at the same time, what I said for Washington also goes for Minnesota. What are the odds that whoever Minnesota drafts just ends up being a bum? Pretty good odds. Matthew Krepenik says Fields will beat Russ and win the starting job. I don't know if it'll be before the season starts, but I do think at some point during this year, if the Steelers are not doing good, if it's Russ's fault or not directly, they're gonna have no reason not to try out Justin Fields. I mean, they're paying Russ $1 million. That's it. That's all they have to give him this year. Like, I don't even think, honestly, I know my skit was one thing, but I don't think he would even really care. And ending, we got Bruce saying the Giants will be second in the East. I said jail. And that is going to be it, ladies and gentlemen, for the YouTube portion of me reacting to your guys' NFL offseason takes. Like I said, keep an eye on TikTok over the weekend for part 2, and if you want to get some more takes in, feel free to still light the tweet up. Anyway, with everything I said, I'm going to get this edited so you guys can watch it on time and get a start to your weekend. Show support to this video in any way. I really appreciate it, and I will see you all in the next upload.